Maybe it's at a frequency that us old guys just can't hear it.
It's possible. Nothing?
Or
Oh,
the mic won't
man.
pick it up.
The mic does not like it.
What are you still on the blue? What are you using?
I'm on the blue.
Huh.
No? Nothing?
Oh,
There you go. Back up. Further back. No? I thought it was a distance thing because you were like moving and we picked it up. No?
I think it's a frequency thing. It has to be a frequency thing. That's crazy.
either that or it's the worst
fascinating.
sound machine ever.
I'm telling you, man, it works here. I'll bring it to lunch.
Okay.
Wait, if he can bring that to lunch, can I bring the
No.
bell?
No. just don't come to lunch.
Welcome to the Geeky A Go-Go podcast, a weekly podcast where we talk about news, movies, TV shows, comic books, cosplay. If it has something to do with what's going on in the world of pop culture, we'll talk about it here. My name is Anthony Pizzuto. Let's get this party started. Joining me today in the Go-Go, he is the gatekeeper and the keymaster, Mr. Eric Ho. This guy almost always crosses the streams, Mr. Nitro Chris. And last but not least, he thinks his uncle is St. Jerome, Mr. Tim Boylan. Gentlemen, what's happening? Nitro, how you doing this week? We missed you at lunch on Friday. What's going on?
Busy.
Very good.
Yeah, work is not great, so just busy.
Is it weather related?
Tax season.
Ah, got it. For those of you who don't know, Chris is a CPA.
False.
All right. What about you, Mr. Tim? Toots. Are you doing your taxes as well? Or do you have the Dixon Ticonderoga No. 2 pencil in your visor at the ready to get those audits out of the way?
I send all my taxes to Nitro Chris.
Oh, God. See, I told you, folks. Nitro Chris is a CPA.
That's why he owes money every year.
I've only been audited twice.
Since Chris?
That's two more times than I have.
2 more times than most people in the country have.
Yeah, you have a aggressive CPA is what I'm picking up.
But
In
Chris
Nitro.
Chris is an amazing CPA.
But seriously, Tim, what have you been up to besides getting audited by the IRS? Anything wild and crazy going in the world of toots?
Nothing wild and crazy.
Okay.
You know, I think, we're trying to gear up for the con season. You know, I'm trying to get my costumes in order for con season. So
Okay.
trying to figure out what I'm going to do this year.
First of all, I appreciate you emphasizing con season. What are your costumes that you're looking to dust off or to produce this year?
So I've got 2 that are on deck. They're both Star Wars costumes. The first is an Imperial ground crew.
Okay.
So you've seen them in Rogue One. You've seen them in Obi-Wan.
All right. Is this a riff off of an established costume, like you know how like the TIE pilot, you have the TIE Reserve and the TIE whatever, is that it, Chris?
That is it.
Oh, all right. For those of you who are visually not watching this, it looks like a big black ball with a very defined lower lip protruding from its mouth.
It's the costume that, so Jyn Erso wore it, or at least she beat up the guy at Scarif, right? And then she had that's her whole getup. I'm not going to be Jyn Erso, just a normal ground crew costume.
Don't believe that, but okay, cool. And
Right.
You know what? You've inspired a future topic. So this is something about the 501st that always tickles me. A lot of things about the 501st tickle me. But the gravitation towards obscure characters that most people have no idea what they are. So I want to talk about that. Because I bet if you went to a charity event dressed as that, people would be like, "Oh, you're Darth Vader."
Probably.
Right. So I think we need to talk about that for a future episode, which would be an awesome topic. Eric Ho. Yes.
I would argue that nobody would confuse me with Darth Vader because I am way too short.
And you know what? Thank you for admitting that. It takes a very strong person to admit that they are too short to be the Dark Lord of the Sith. Okay, Eric Ho. What's happening? You weren't at lunch either. You missed the production meeting. You got assigned a bunch of things that we haven't told you about yet.
Also busy. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. The people took the first week of the month off. I thought it was hard, and then they came back in, and then it's like I'm doing that first week all over again. So that was this week.
Got it. So it was like doing it all over again, but longer and harder.
Yes. I did get in some TV shows in between, though. I don't know if we're going to talk about that, but...
we are. Don't spoil it.
I know. I got to get... in between me crying about work, I did get some time to watch some television. So there you go.
Eric, you break my heart. I'm so sorry you had a rough week. But hopefully our time together today will cheer you up and prepare you for a solid, entertaining, and highlighted week in the future. I don't know what the hell I'm saying right now. So you know what? Because I've run out of words, Chris, I'm going to toss it over to you. Take it away.
Okay, everyone. It's what you watching time. For all our new listeners, what you watching is a little segment we do with go around the room and we talk about what we've been watching in the last week, and not necessarily anything video wise. It could be reading, it could be YouTube, as Tim likes to tell us about all his ventures on YouTube all the time. And I'll start off this week with myself, and I've been watching, or I started watching, Percy Jackson and the Olympians on Disney Plus. I love the books. My daughter loved the books. She read the graphic novels too. She liked those a lot as well. I highly recommend them. I consider it quite fun. A little historically inaccurate, but we're talking about mythology here, the Greek gods and whatnot, but fun nonetheless.
So Percy Jackson, I do have a question. So I'm aware that Percy Jackson is a thing, and up until this point in time where you said it's about the Greek gods, I had no idea what it's about. So what's the elevator pitch for Percy Jackson? Who is he or her? What do they do? Are they a Greek god? Do they fight Hades? What's the storyline or the premise in a nutshell?
The original first book was, I think it was titled Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and the subtitle was The Lightning Thief, right? And if you read the book or watch the first episode or whatnot, you come to realize it's the lightning they're referring to is Zeus's lightning bolt. And the setting is this kid growing up in New York. He's a little weird, kind of dyslexia thing going on. He sees things, he's not exactly sure and what's going on with his life and whatnot. And you come to find out that he's actually a demigod. And a demigod is someone who is half human, half god. And the story goes from there. I don't want to spoil too much. Even though the book's been around for a very long time. But the show is very good. I think it accurately captures the essence of the books. Young adult, obviously. I read them quite some time ago. But yeah, I think that's kind of the basis of it. He ends up having to go on a quest to retrieve Zeus's lightning bolt.
Very cool. Well, thank you for that. That's helpful. I'll have to give that a watch.
Moving it right along, we'll go to Anthony this week. Anthony, what you been watching?
So I've been watching a few things. So they've announced the nominees for the SAG Awards, so I need to start kind of chipping away at that. And I think Flowers, what is it? Killers of the Flower Moon or something like that. It's a frog that I need to eat. I just don't want to eat it because I keep on looking at that time, 3.5 hours, and it's just like I don't have the bandwidth in my brain to do it. So I've been kind of poking around other shorter things, mostly on the TV side, but none of them are coming to mind right now. But in the background, I have been revisiting something I've always wanted to get into, which is Doctor Who. So I remember watching the original Doctor Who when I was maybe it was repeats, but old school Doctor Who when I was a kid on PBS. Like this is like the 80s. And so on HBO Max, they have, starting with the season of the 9th Doctor, which is Christopher Eccleston. And so just kind of starting from there and working my way through whatever they have available on HBO Max. And so far, it's actually pretty good. It's a lot of fun. Really enjoying it. Super sci-fi, super space opera-y, or saga-y, but it's a lot of fun. Really enjoying it. And then watched a couple movies this week. The first one was a real snooze, Foe, F-O-E. Have you guys seen this? It's on, I think, Netflix or Prime. Stars Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal. It was labeled as a sci-fi kind of thriller, which is why I started watching it. And then it became like the most boring, longest movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Almost as bad as Rebel Moon without all the slow-mo and special effects. It was just very long, slow, drawn out, to the point where I ended up having to like going to Wikipedia to find out what the actual movie was about. That's how bad it was. So don't watch Foe. Not a good time. Waste of time. Flip side, Boston Strangler. We watched that on Hulu. Keira Knightley. Glad to see that she's still doing stuff. First time I've ever heard her do an American accent, which was really cool. She plays Jean Cole, who was one of the reporters who covered the Boston Strangler story back in the early 60s. And it just follows that whole kind of how the reporters broke the story, called the police out about their kind of lack of ability to track down this killer. And I didn't realize this, but the Boston Strangler was never truly found. Like even the guy that ended up going to jail for it ended up not necessarily being the right guy, even though he was tied later on to the 13th person who was killed by the Boston Strangler. So yeah, it was a really interesting crime procedural drama. And it starred Carrie Coon as well, who is also stars in Afterlife, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which we will be talking about in a little bit. So those were my what you watchins this week.
Interesting. Yeah. Remind me again, what was the other thing that you recommended, the earlier one?
Doctor Who Foe?
Doctor Who.
Yeah,
okay.
Doctor Who.
I myself never got into Doctor Who, and for the simple reason, and I could be wrong on this, and please prove me wrong, but I like to watch everything from the beginning to the end whenever I get into a series, and that's not possible with Doctor Who because a lot of the original stuff was lost in a fire in the BBC studios or something like that. That's what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody?
I don't. So a few years ago, and I think we were still living in our condo when I first tried to get back into Doctor Who. And I believe, so this was 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I believe Netflix actually had the original Doctor Who series. Like the old school 70s Doctor Who. Hold on. Original Doctor Who series. 1963. Wow. Okay. Where can I watch original Doctor Who? It says you can watch it on Prime. Yeah. Okay. So you should be able to watch it on Amazon Prime.
Okay. Maybe it was the radio dramas or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah, the first Doctor, William Hartnell, 1964, 29 episodes. And you can watch it with BritBox subscription, which I'm surprised I don't have because in my heart, I live in the UK. In my heart, I live in the UK. Next episode, let's all do it in a British accent.
No, not happening.
Are you sure you don't want to do that?
This feels like a bad idea.
It sounds like
This feels like a really bad idea.
Do you think we'll be called out on it?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. There it is. There it is.
That sounded more Australian.
More Australian?
Oh,
Wow. Oh.
Okay. Before we offend more people, let's move this segment along
Nice accent, Anthony. New Jersey.
to what you watching, Tim. Tim, what have you been watching this week?
So this week, what I've been watching actually started. It popped up on my Instagram feed, and I don't know. Have you guys ever seen these guys who do free solo climbing? Do you know what that is?
No.
So free solo climbing is you climb structures without the use of any safety equipment at all.
Oh.
It's just you.
it's just
climb with the
unnecessary. It's what it is.
Right.
Unnecessary.
If you fall, you die. Basically,
Wow.
there's nothing to save you. And there's this one guy. He's a French guy. His name is Alexis Landault, and he climbed Burj Khalifa with this other guy who's called the French Spider-Man, Alain Robert.
Oh, yeah.
But Alexis Landault, he has done some crazy stuff. His YouTube channel has all shorts on it. There are 2 longer videos on there where he's climbed some buildings in France, and it scares the crap out of me. But I couldn't not watch it. It's
So
very entertaining.
So does it inspire you to attempt this? Do you just like?
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
so do you like the the adrenaline? Does it like give you a rush by watching it? Is that what draws you to it?
I don't know if it gives me a rush. It's just kind of crazy that these guys can do that, you know? And there are some videos of him, Alexis, I think is his name. He's doing pull-ups with one arm or 2 fingers, and it's just the level of athleticism, or at least physical strength, that he has is pretty impressive. So I give the guy a lot of credit. He's got, a lot of courage, I guess, to climb stuff like that. But I would absolutely never try something like that.
And how did you find these guys? It was like a sponsored ad or something like that on Instagram?
It popped up on my Instagram feed. Just the 2 of them climbing it, and then I thought, let me check out his profile, and he's got a link to his YouTube channel in there, and started watching some of the shorts in his YouTube channel, and he's got I think there was an 8-minute video where he climbed one of the buildings with Alain Robert and 2 other guys, and the building is just all glass, and you're like, how do these guys hang on? And the wind too, it's crazy.
And remind me, what was the YouTube channel again? I just want to put it in the show notes.
It's Alexis Landault.
Alexis Landault.
Landot.
Nice. All right. Very cool. Chris, you look like the kind of guy that
Cool
wants to
beats.
go free climbing.
Definitely
Yep.
not. It reminds me of all the parkour videos that you watch. It's like they get really close to the edge, and you're like, vomit. So definitely.
Did you guys watch Did you watch the Office
Yes.
episode?
Parkour.
That's the type of parkour I could do. Like Kevin doing parkour, that's me.
Oh, my God.
Cool. Thank you, Tim. And to round it all out, Mr. Eric, what you been watching?
I watched 2 things this week. So I've been talking about watching Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. The season wrapped.
Nice.
So I think that's the end of the season. Not gonna say anything, but I think it's interesting how they're trying to tie it to many of things. And I didn't look into this, but I wonder if this is part of the universe that they're creating. It has to be, right? For the American
Yeah.
kind of Godzilla universe. So there's some tie-ins there, which I think there will be implications for movies that are coming out. I also have an opinion that I don't like this trend of you got to watch a TV show to understand the movie kind of situation. That I'm not a big fan of that. So we'll see whether that turns into a thing. And then the other thing I watched was Echo came out, the latest entrance into MCU. 5 episodes. I enjoyed it. I love the acting. I love how we have a superhero who, I mean, I know she's shown up in other kind of property before, but you know, there's a lot of the show that was done in sign languages, which is kind of neat. And the fact that they really tried to emphasize the Native American influence of Echo, and it's about family, it's about all these things that are happening, and I'm a huge fan of what's happening in the show. I'm also very pleased to see that a lot of my favorite faces from Reservation Dogs, the TV show, have shown up. Actors crossed over, which is a little jarring for me from time to time when I'm watching it, but I liked it. I could see how some people might find it to be controversial / maybe a little boring, but I really appreciate it. And it's only 5 episodes, so I really liked it. So wrap that up this week.
Is there controversy around it? I have not been paying much attention to it.
You know, there's always going to be people who are going to be like,
No, I get it.
Someone mentioned, I read an article where someone was like, do we need another Native American superhero? Because in What If, the other Marvel animated in What If, they introduced actually an original Native American superhero.
Oh, wow.
And this is what, like a few weeks ago, pretty much, right? And then so there's another one, and I forgot who it was, but they interviewed someone, and one of the actors on the show, and she was like, "Oh, so we get 2 Native American heroes, and it's too much." Every hero on screen is white. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And so I mean, I think there's always going to be people who go, "Oh, it's too woke, it's too whatever," kind of situation. But I have enjoyed it. And I particularly like stories where there's like a family components to it. That, you know, I don't really cry in real life, but if you give me like a nice family story with like nice music backing in the background, I'm like, oh, I might tear up a little bit. Anyway, I liked it.
You must be terrible to watch ad-supported shows during the holidays.
Oh yeah,
those Hallmark and
like there are things I wanted to do growing up. Like one of it was to make advertisements, and it's about that music, right? It's about the music, and it's about that thing. Like I want to make people cry. I want to make people like join the army. Like there are things where I was like, yeah, like you listen to this, you're like, I want to do that. So kudos to people who do these kind of music accompaniment, man, because I think it make or break a lot of videos.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for rounding out the segment. And with that, we'll toss it right back to you, Anthony.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, for sharing what you're watching today or this week. So let's dive into this week's topic, which is dun, 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 Ghostbusters. Okay. That was terrible. I'm sorry. So, 2 big pieces of news came out of the world of Gozer and Ghostbusters this week. We heard this past week that the release date of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire has moved up from March 29th to March 22nd, so moved up by a week to take advantage of the full spring break time period, or at least get an extra week out of it. Competing against Lionsgate's Arthur the King, starring Mark Wahlberg, and Focus features the American Society of Magical Negroes. So, why do I feel like an opening day field trip is in the works for us? I think we should all take off work that day and go see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Bosses, just ignore this episode. Also, Empire Magazine featured our favorite Ghostbusting squad in a special edition glow-in-the-dark collectible twofer cover. One featuring the new class made up of Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, Mckenna Grace, and Finn Wolfhard. And then there was another glow-in-the-dark cover featuring Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Bill Murray, and if you didn't see it, I'm telling you now, it was Annie Potz. Yes, Janine Melnitz in her very own Ghostbusters coveralls, ready to take on the underworld. So, we also got 2 new photos from the set showing Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon inspecting the now exploded containment unit at Hook and Ladder 8, as well as a shot of Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray looking like they're ready to take on an interdimensional demon. Where the heck is Ray in that picture is my big question. Chris, you're a pretty big Ghostbusters fan, right? What do you think of the upcoming Empire? What did you think of Afterlife? I believe you and I saw it together with our friend, Mr. Jimbo. Are you excited about what's going on in the world of Ghostbusters right now?
Absolutely. In a word.
There you go. Nailed it.
I mean, I'm probably the wrong person to ask about it and whatnot, because I'm not going to critique it. Like, just as we all are Star Wars fans, we hear this all the time. Any more Star Wars is good Star Wars. I'm all for any more Ghostbusters is good Ghostbusters. I'm looking forward to it extremely. I think it's going to be a great thing. We're showing old faces. We're showing new things. I think they carried the torch very well in Afterlife. I don't think they could do wrong, in my opinion.
All right, so not to be controversial here, because we are Star Wars fans and we like to stir the pot. But the Ghostbusters. What was the one that came out back in 2016 with Melissa McCarthy and those folks? I forget the actual full title of it, but it was a Ghostbusters movie.
It was just called Ghostbusters.
It's just called Ghostbusters? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So Chris, what did you think of that film?
I think it was called Answer the Call or something like that.
Yeah,
just to differentiate.
Something like that.
But yes, it was I don't know if we want to call it a reboot, because Afterlife is more of a reboot. Because after so many years, you're continuing the franchise. I think that's what a real reboot is. Like, just taking it and doing it into something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that definition aside, what do I think about that? Again, it's Ghostbusters. I like it. All those actresses are phenomenal. Yeah. They did a great job. They kept, I would say, the humorous tone of Ghostbusters. I mean, there were more serious parts, but I think they did a great job. I mean, all of them. Even Chris Hemsworth was funny as hell in it too. They did. I think they did great.
Yeah, I did like. I liked it as a standalone. I did not like it as a remake. And I think that's the differentiation. To your point, reboot is you're bringing it back to life. A remake is you're kind of starting fresh. I wish they had done it as like it was the San Francisco franchise of Ghostbusters and not tried to rewrite, the characters of, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson. Because, when it stands on, it can stand on its own as a funny ghost hunting film. But I think where a lot of the consternation from the fan base came from was that, we're all creatures of nostalgia. We want to see Luke and Han and Leia and the Millennium Falcon. We want to see Rey and Egon. Well, we can't see Egon anymore. But all those guys, suiting up and busting ghosts. So, yeah. What about you, Timbo, Toots, and I forgot your name for a second. I was so caught up on trying to remember the Ghostbusters names. Did you saw Afterlife? What did you think of Afterlife, and what are you looking forward to most in Frozen Empire?
Oh, I did see Afterlife. I actually really liked it, and I'm probably a little bit more biased too, kind of like Chris. I do like Finn Wolfhard because I'm also a Stranger Things fan as well. So I did like that he's in it, and I think he did a really good job in the movie as well. I did appreciate all of the, as you mentioned, all of the things in terms of. The fans we really wanted to see, Dr. Spangler. We wanted to see, Winston. We wanted to see, everybody from, kind of the original series. And those are the ones that we all grew up on as kids. So I thought it was a great restart to, the more modern era of Ghostbusters. And, I think just watching the trailer, the new one looks pretty cool. As you kind of mentioned, right, all of the there's like a kind of like a wintry type of demon or whatever it is, Zool 2.0, whoever is going to be. But I'm very excited to see it. So, yeah.
All right, Mr. Eric Ho, are you a Ghostbusters fan?
Don't hate me, Chris.
Oh.
I only like the first one.
Oh, wow.
No, I mean, like, I actually have watched them all. But for me, there was just a magic with the first one that I thought was hard to recapture. So yeah, I mean, I still go watch these things, and I'm excited about new movies that are coming out, always. But I think that I will still go see it, but it's not like I will be dressing up as a Ghostbusters go see it. That's my point.
So we're not going in costume on opening day. Oh, well, Chris, I will go in costume with you.
Though I am also a sucker for group builds, so if we're gonna do a group costume, then yeah, I'll figure something out.
Nice. I do. It's on my list. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I do want to do a Slimer, and I want to do it where like my upper body is Slimer, and then my bottom is the cart from the hotel. Wouldn't that be awesome? And then just kind of like walk around Comic-Con. Be so much fun.
You know what you can do, because I think the hotel cart thing is difficult. Replace it with a shopping cart of some sort, so you can cover the lower half of your body.
Okay, yeah.
And you can just do the. Actually, you might just look like a genie, though. I don't know.
I could get mirrored pants too, and then just kind of be a. They must make mirrored pants. I used to work in fashion. I could find someone who makes mirrored pants.
Hey, fun fact, there is a professional, just like the 501st, there is a professional Ghostbusters costume group in New Jersey. And I only know this because we were at Nerdfest last year. I think it was March or February timeframe. And those guys were set up right next to us. And, they take their Ghostbusting and their they look legit. Their proton packs were amazing. And I have seen your proton pack, Anthony, which is equally as amazing. But
Thank you.
they definitely they take it very seriously, just like we do.
And something like Nerdfest should be sponsored by Geeky A Go-Go, so let's put that on the to-do list for maybe 2026 when we're up to episode 100 and 120. Chris, are you in this Ghostbusters costuming club?
So I don't want to get into the politics, right? Yeah. I don't know too much to get into the politics in detail, but I think they call them like franchises or something like that. Oh. The biggest being Ghost Core. So maybe that's what you saw, Tim, at Nerdfest. I'm not 100% positive. But there is a Ghost Core New Jersey. I think there was a North Jersey Ghostbusters at some point. I'm not sure. I follow some of these groups on Facebook and whatnot. I have not, to use the 501st verbiage, I don't troop with them, or I haven't trooped with them. I just haven't found opportunities to do so. But kind of a good segue into this, the Buffalo Ghostbusters, as in Buffalo, New York, are hosting a Ghostbusters Day at Hook and Ladder 8. Hook and Ladder 8 is the firehouse that's used for the external shots in the first film. And Ghostbusters Day is June 8th for everyone. June 8th is the original release date of the first film. So there's going to be a huge meetup downtown Manhattan. I believe I know it's right by the Holland Tunnel. I don't quote me on the street that it's on.
It's on Church Street or around that.
Soho.
Yeah.
It's in Soho.
Okay, Soho.
So, yeah. So that area, right outside that, is going to be a big meetup for people that, the organized groups, I should say, of Ghostbusters, the mecca of Ghostbusting, Hook and Ladder 8 in Manhattan.
Are you going?
I'm interested in going. I'd have to make sure I'm not working that day. But
yeah. Do you have to go in costume?
I don't think so. I think it's just, obviously, like, for official photo purposes and whatnot. They're not going to say, "Hey, some rando fan jump in a photo." It's like if you're in costume, you'll get into the photos if they do big group photos and whatnot.
Oh, I think I need to. I'm going to pick your brain because I have the pack, but I have the patches with my name Pizzuto on it. Although Jimbo says with my hair, I'm beginning to look more and more like Egon. So maybe I can cosplay as Egon.
Cartoon Egon.
Cartoon Egon, yeah. Yeah, the real Ghostbusters. So I'm going to pick your brain on how to put together my my Ghostbusters cosplay. All right, so predictions for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So here's the synopsis from IMDb Pro. When the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, Ghostbusters new and old must join forces to protect their home and to save the world from a second ice age. All right. In this film, we have the cast from Afterlife, Carrie Coon, you have Paul Rudd, you have Finn Wolfhard, you have Mckenna Grace. Logan Kim is back as Podcast. Let's see. Oh, and you have Celeste O'Connor is back as Lucky. This film, we have the original Ghostbusters, plus Annie Potz is clearly having a more robust role than she did in the Afterlife. William Atherton, Walter Peck is back. Very curious to see what he's going to be up to in this. And then we have a few celebrity appearances. We have Patton Oswalt, Camille Nanjiani, James Acaster is in this as well. So what do you think is going to happen? Is this going to be the official handoff film that we thought that Afterlife was going to be? Are they going to partner together and make a mega ghost-busting group? What are your thoughts? I'm going to start with, well, Eric, you shook your head first, so I'm going to pass it over to you. What are your speculations on this film, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire?
I'm no longer a believer that any of these old franchises are trying to hand them off to anybody else. I just think people just like the nostalgia factor. So I think that old dudes are just going to keep on coming back. They might play more of a backup role, but I doubt it's going to be a handoff. It's interesting that they're introducing so many new characters. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, I think it's just going to be fun, but I don't think it's going to be a handoff film.
I don't think it's going to be a handoff film. Okay, what about you, Toots? Do you think it's going to be a handoff or not a handoff?
I don't know. I just hope that it doesn't go, kind of the route of maybe the modern Star Wars or like the Jurassic World franchises where, the soft reboot was good, but then episodes 2 and 3 just kind of took a turn for the worst. So I hope it doesn't go that way because the first one was pretty good, the reboot, but, fingers crossed for the second one.
Do you think at the end of Frozen Empire when the world is warm again, or not, we don't know if there will be a cliffhanger into episode 6, but do you think our friends Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson are going to pass the torch? And do you think that Egon Spengler will make another appearance, or did we just get our fill in Afterlife and we're calling it good?
I think we probably look, if they do have Egon in the next one, I won't complain, and if they don't, I won't complain either. I've kind of moved on from Egon, at least in that perspective. With the rest of the other guys, hopefully they pass the torch, so it's just kind of a reset, and we can kind of move forward. Kind of almost like they did with with Star Wars and some of these other films, where we don't see Darth Vader in some of the newer ones, and I don't really think that we need Professor Venkman and Winston. Not that they're not great parts of the universe. I just don't know that they're actually needed to kind of carry it forward.
Fair. Nitro, thoughts?
In terms of handoff, I don't, because we get teased at the end of Afterlife that Winston is kind of like become the benefactor. With looking into the old firehouse and getting the Ecto-1 and whatnot. So it's like if he's kind of funding this operation for the kids, because they are kids still. I don't see how you can remove at least him from the whole situation. Is it going to be how the original was, where they're literally trying to go into business of ghost busting? Again, I don't think so, because again, it's kids. Although they're probably all adults now. I think they're all past 18 years old. I think even Mckenna Grace was in her 20s when she filmed the Afterlife. But yeah, they play kids. Right. So yeah, I don't think it's like a business venture how the original film was. They just probably being called to save the city kind of situation. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's formulaic, right? Some evil arises, something comes around, and they have to come and save the day. That just leaves it for more opportunity to make more things. It could be an episodic TV show. Who knows? I have no idea. Yeah. Just more Ghostbusters. I like it. I
Did I?
Well,
no, sorry. Go finish your thought.
I mean, it just remains to be seen. You know how this plays out. How much juice could they squeeze from this? You know, I don't think it'll be a clean handoff, but definitely they'll be taking less of a obvious role in it.
I really like that take, by the way. Has there ever been talk of a Ghostbusters TV show?
And that's
I mean, they do the animated series.
Yeah.
Right? They did the real Ghostbusters, and then I forgot what it was called, but it was a kind of a reboot, right? Where they pizzazzed them up, I thought. I was well outside of Saturday morning cartoons because I was working when this thing happened, I think. Shame on me because I call myself the Ghostbusters fan, but I thought they did.
It looks like as early as 2022, there was talk of Netflix rebooting the real Ghostbusters, which was the cartoon series. But I don't see anything beyond, looks like February 2023. So maybe Afterlife. I did hear somewhere that Kenner was re-releasing the real Ghostbusters toys. Chris.
Extreme Ghostbusters.
Extreme Ghostbusters.
Right. That's everybody was doing this. Even Looney Tunes did it for a while. Remember, like they were like, "Oh, look, it's like Electro Bugs Bunny or something like that."
Oh, yeah.
1997.
Yeah.
That's when they crossed the streams.
That's when they crossed the streams. Oh boy. Okay. But if not Kenner, who owns Kenner? Hasbro. Hasbro is re-releasing the real Ghostbusters toys, and so I wonder if that's going to tie into Netflix releasing a real Ghostbusters series, which probably follows. Although the real Ghostbusters wasn't really part of the Ghostbusters timeline; it was its own kind of separate thing, right? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. My prediction is that it will be a handoff. So the fact that Dan Aykroyd wasn't in the picture with Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray is interesting to me. And so I'm wondering if he has kind of a smaller role in this, not as small as it was in Afterlife, but he's running his bookstore. He's been doing that forever. I mean, they're all up there. They're in their 70s and 80s at this point. So I'm very curious. I think to your point, if it is a handoff, Ernie Hudson would have to be involved because he's the financier of the enterprise. But I think what we're going to see is a handoff. And if Series 6 comes out or the 6th film comes out, it will be purely the Paul Rudd class of Ghostbusters with Ernie Hudson, as kind of like, Charlie and the others are his angels, right? And this could lead to the TV series or the cartoon, and maybe there's a tie-in. Maybe they'll cross over the real Ghostbusters into this universe. And I also have a prediction that Walter Peck is the mayor of New York City, and they have to battle him to reactivate the Ghostbusters to save from the Frozen Empire. So on March 23rd, when we do our review episode, I hope to be that my prediction is correct. And you heard it here first, folks. All right. Anything else on Ghostbusters? All right. Last question before we wrap up the episode. Favorite Ghostbuster character? Could be from any of the Ghostbusters, real Ghostbusters, could be a ghost, could be one of the Busters, could be a side character, could be from Ghostbusters Answers the Call. Let's start with Toots.
I'm going to have to say Winston.
All right. And why?
Because in the first movie, when they're fighting Zool, and when Zool asks Ray if he's a god, Zool just blasts all of the Ghostbusters, and Winston goes, Ray, the next time someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
And that has been advice that has stuck with you your entire life.
Best quote in the whole movie franchise.
How many times have you pulled that out in a job interview?
At least 24 times.
At least 24 times. All right. Eric Ho, your favorite Ghostbusters character?
It's the Marshmallow Man. And the reason is because, I don't know, I like Marshmallow, and it was hilarious when I saw it on screen. So go Marshmallow Man.
Go Marshmallow Man. All right. All right. Nitro, favorite Ghostbusters character?
It's Ray. Ray is the glue that holds the team together, or at least got the ball rolling, right? Every Peter Venkman, Egon, Egon's there just for the science. Ernie Hudson, Winston Zedmore, he just wanted a job, right? Ray was the heart and soul of like really interacting and catching ghosts. He has his bookstore now, or he's had his bookstore for a while. It's all owed to him, in my opinion.
Well, he mortgaged his house 3 times just to pay for Hook and Ladder 8. So yeah, that's dedication right there. Yeah, Ray, I agree, is the glue that binds them all together, and we see that in Afterlife as well. My favorite character. This is a tough one because I was trying to pick a favorite, but I love every single one of them so much. From Dana to Janine to even the new characters. They're just wonderful, wonderfully written and performed characters. But if I had to pick just one, and I really, 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 really hope that he makes an appearance in Frozen Empire, but Mr. Louis Tully, the real CPA, who will find you the best deal on acetaminophen. He is just such a great character, and he turns into it. He's in love with Dana, but he'll never get the girl. He turns into not Gozer. He turns into Vince Clortho, the Keymaster. He turns into a devil dog, and then in part 2, he gets the job. He hooks up with Janine and then loses the baby to Vigo, the Carpathian. This poor guy, but what a great character. Rick Moranis, I hope you come out of retirement to perform in Frozen Empire. All right, well, that's all we have about Ghostbusters this week. We hope you are as excited as we are about seeing the boys in green slime coming back to the big screen. Before we wrap up, what are you guys looking forward to this week? Tim, let's start with you. I'm sorry, Toots, we'll start with you.
Sorry, you know what? I didn't realize that you were calling on me for a second.
I know I called you by your real name, and I'm sorry. I'll stick to your nickname.
Right, exactly. I know you're gonna have to. Oh, and I have introduced them to X-Men, so they've been kind of really interested in watching all of them. So I think this week, excuse me there. I'll be honest, this week I'm kind of excited. So my kids have off from school tomorrow.
That's awesome. All right. Eric, what about you? What are you looking forward to this week?
I'm also looking forward to a 4-day work week is what I'm doing.
For my,
beyond that,
Yeah,
I
spoiler
don't
for
have much
next week,
anything
right?
else.
Now, what you're watching
I
is
try
probably
to
going to
hit
be a
some
binge
movies
of
in theaters
X-Men
to see what's out there.
the whole week
Which,
with
by the
my
way, I
kids.
didn't talk about it. The wife and I went to watch Mean Girls, and it was hilarious. So highly recommend it.
I want to see that.
Anybody who wants to bring their kids. Also, yeah, I was in a theater full of just. I think we thought it was just gonna be old millennials who are watching this thing, and then a lot of young ladies in the movie theater. I was one of the louder dudes that are laughing. So anyway, your daughters might enjoy these movies.
Nice. Yes, it's on my list. When that movie first came out, I saw that movie 6 times in the movie theater. And not because I wanted to, it's because I was dating a lot when that movie came out. And every date I went on wanted to see either that movie or The Day After Tomorrow. And I saw that movie about 4 times in the movie theater. And I had to pretend I hadn't seen it each time. So it was brand new every time. Finally, I kind of gave up. I was like, oh, yeah, I saw this. It was great. Okay. All right, Nitro, what are you looking forward to this week?
A few things, actually. So, most importantly, we're going to get Mr. Pizzuta here set up with the Ghostbuster gear. I'm not sleeping on that. We got to get ready for June 8th.
All right.
What else we got? Oh, and for the movie release, if we plan to do that, I'm going to take Mr. Eric's Ho's recommendation and watch The Brother's Son. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, you know what? This definitely deserves a review. So maybe I'll review it the next time we come back on. And we do have a dinner this weekend for the 501st. So I hopefully would like to see all of you there in attendance. Wonderful get-together we do every year. So hopefully we all get to see each other.
Awesome. All right. And this week I am looking forward to, the Emmys are tomorrow, or actually tonight when you're listening to this, January 15th. So looking forward to seeing who takes home the Emmys for all the great stuff that was produced in 2023. I'm also traveling this week. I'm heading down to Greensboro, North Carolina for the week for work, which is going to be actually just as cold as it is there as it is here in New Jersey. So not looking forward to that. Hopefully I don't have any issues with my flights. Hint, hint, Mr. Nitro. But yeah, looking forward to that. And then this weekend, I'm doing a very interesting project with a pal of mine. I'm converting his SUV into a camper. So we're going to be kind of taking out seats and then building a bed and shelving and stuff. I know it's going to be a very long day. I can't believe I said yes to this project. But I'm just going to do it and get it over with. And I think it's going to come out beautiful, and he's going to love it for all of his road adventures. So I probably won't be at the dinner on Saturday because I'll be sleeping, having worked the entire day. But I'll miss you guys. May the force be with you. And may the force be with all of you who have been listening to our episode. Make sure you subscribe or follow the podcast on your favorite platform. And please leave us a review. Tell the world what you think of it. Hopefully it's good things. It doesn't cost you anything to do that, and it does help us reach more and more people to help us grow. Thank you so much to my co-hosts, Toots, Nitro, Eric. Your brains, your time, your talent are always appreciated. And until next time, everyone, you stay geeky, Internet.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.